up on Capitol Hill last night was Rick Klein, who's not with us today, but he visited with Kristi Noem, who has a history with Jon Karl. They discussed equestrian activities.
When our colleague Jon Karl went out and rode a horse with you, did he know what he was doing? Did you have to show?
Absolutely not.
Okay, good.
Yep,
okay.
I had to teach him everything.
All right, good.
Yep.
That makes me feel a lot better about this.
All right, now, wait a minute, Zach, stop. I think that I've got some defense here. I think we have some video of me actually out on the horse there with Kristi Noem. As you can see, equestrian expert right there. This idea, I mean, I don't know if she has suddenly gone politician on us. This going negative on the press is ridiculous.
I see the video, and in it, you're out in the rough, and she's on the road, and you're not exactly galloping or anything. So we're gonna stick with Kristi Noem's assessment on this, and maybe we'll have to get Major Garrett's assessment. He's with National Journal, and he's joining us right now. Major, are you much of an equestrian yourself?
You know, I really try not to interpose myself in debates between reporters and horses.
Okay. How about a triangulator?
No, I'm sure Jon Karl is an excellent horseman.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate that, Major.
Okay, Major, last night, down to brass tacks, we saw the president give really a great example of, not to go all Bill Clinton, but he triangulated very well. He said a lot of things that Republicans should be really happy about, talking about the corporate tax rate, talking about simplifying the tax code, freezing the budget, on and on. What's your takeaway?
The takeaway is that there was a counterpunching speech by the president. It's a reaction to the midterm election, and it's a preparation for the 2012 campaign. The president in the last 2 years, when he says he doesn't want to relitigate the past, it's because he wants to protect what he's achieved in the last 2 years. Republicans want to take some or all of that away from him. That is still going to be a fight. Don't kid yourself about that. So when the president says let's not relitigate it, he's trying to build a barrier around what he's accomplished, a barrier that Republicans want to get over and get at if they can. Now, on the rhetoric talking about all that's possible for America, that's typical for presidents to do, and it's typical for presidents who have taken and absorbed a political setback to do. And the president is trying to re-engage himself with the independents who've pulled away and the nominally attached Republicans, both sectors of the American electorate who supported him in 2008 but did not in 2010. And talking as he did last night and putting out the issue agenda he did last night is a way to begin that conversation again. And that's all about laying the foundation for 2012.
Okay, so reading the applause is kind of an indicator. I noticed several issues where you had strong Republican applause, sometimes without Democrats, sometimes in a bipartisan way. And I'm wondering what you think this tells us about the possibility for some kind of achievement before we get into the presidential race. I mean, whether it be on tax reform or even on Social Security reform.
Tax reform is going to be a huge push, a big lift, as they say. And I don't think there's any possibility of realistic Social Security reform in this Congress. The president said we're not going to go there in an aggressive way. Republicans are not going to jump into that breach without any signal from the president. So I would say those two are extremely difficult to imagine any fundamental change occurring. But the president knows he has to cut a deal with House Republicans on the continuing resolution, which keeps the government operating after March 4th, when the existing authority expires, and on the debt ceiling. This will be the first, possibly the only real test of the ability of House Republicans and this White House to cut a deal that's acceptable to both sides. I would say, generally speaking, under those terms, whatever they are, Senate Democrats are going to have to go along with whatever the president agrees to. So I think the fundamental point of agreement will be negotiated by John Boehner and his team and the president over those two issues, and they're going to come around very, very soon.
Major, really quickly, the fault lines we saw on display last night were on the Republican side. We had Michelle Bachmann give her Tea Party response, which she said had nothing to do with the Republican response, but was really more engaging than Paul Ryan's response. What should we make of that? Are these guys going to be arguing with each other going forward?
Look, I think there is a false premise established about Republicans that they're divided on this question. There is a substantial support among Republicans for spending cuts. There is a greater support among Tea Party-inspired Republicans for more cuts. But it's false to say they are divided on the question of spending cuts. They're united. It's just a matter of magnitude. And in the House of Representatives, as John knows and as you know, you need 218. So whatever gets 218 wins. And that's what Republicans will figure out.
All right. Well, Major Garrett with National Journal, thanks for having us on Top Line. Appreciate it. And Zach, I got to say, I think a little bit too much may be made of the Bachmann response. I mean, there were any number of Republicans up here who had their own responses sent out via videotape. Hers, maybe a little more slick, and she had the Tea Party website, but, I don't know.
We can't pass up charts and graphs here on Top Line. Join us tomorrow.